I recently had the opportunity to interview Shawn White, aka Intentional Carnivore. It was a great discussion. And in fact, it was such a great discussion that it was a really long video, and I decided to break it up into three separate videos. So without further ado, let's go to one of those videos. All right, everybody, welcome back. Today I have a very special guest. This is Shawn from Intentional Carnivore. That's his YouTube channel. And Shawn, you have a great story with your carnivore journey. So why don't you start telling us a little bit about it?
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on your show and give me the opportunity to share my story because it excites me. I'm passionate about what I'm doing. So, um, I don't, how far you want to go back because it can get long, it can get interesting. So, as far as my journey into carnivore, I started carnivore April the 17th of 2022. There wasn't anything special about that day. There wasn't, it wasn't, I didn't see the light that day. It just happened to be the day that I had kicked that can down the road long enough and decided it was going to be the day that I was going to start and I'd had enough. I had spent the last 3 years of my life laying on a couch, like extreme depression, uh, I had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I had been a pre diabetic for 25 years. I had hypertension. I was on three blood pressure medications. I have gout or had gout. I was taking allopurinol and colchicine for inflammation and gout issues in my joints. I had sleep apnea. I quit breathing about 13 to 17 times an hour. Um, Man, the list goes on and on and on. I think probably, as I've mentioned in other with other folks before, I think the absolute worst is the depression, and that's probably the biggest non-scale victory or victory overall that I've had. Um, and I was when I started at 457 pounds. Um, I say around because I could have weighed more, but I couldn't weigh myself because I didn't have a scale big enough to, or that would go high enough to be able to actually get an accurate weight. So it just read error. And so whenever I finally ordered some scales, got some scales, and went to my doctor and was weighed on his industrial ones or whatever, it was 457 pounds, and all I would do, I couldn't walk hardly. I couldn't walk to my car without being out of breath. I couldn't take a shower without having to sit on the side of the tub at 39 years old. I was just in horrible shape. Let myself go, and I was depressed to the point I just didn't care about life anymore. I would just lay around and listen to Joe Rogan podcast, and that's about it. Play games online or whatever, PlayStation or whatever. Um, And one day I was listening to Joe Rogan and I heard him and Rhonda Patrick doing an interview. And Rhonda Patrick is not a fan of carnivore. However, Joe was mentioning, the things that he had benefited when he tried carnivore.
Hmm.
And it kind of got me curious and got me to thinking. And so I started just thinking about it, researching about it, and come across a Dr. Ken Berry video. And when I did, I thought this guy was crazier than the rest of them. He's a doctor and should know better, right? I I spent 12 years working EMS and studying the body, so I know how the body works. I didn't know anything about nutrition and the key points that puts it together. So listening to Dr. Berry, the more he talked about the body, I knew the man made sense. I, so the more I listened, the more intrigued I got, and I knew that I need to try this. This is what I need to do. What could it hurt? From where I was at, anything would be better than where I was at. So I'm laying there, and like I said, kick that can down the road. And I'm a believer. I'm a man of faith. So I rolled over on my knees and just prayed and asked God to help me. And that's kind of what led me, ultimately to April the 17th was my day. And I said, enough's enough. I'm doing this. It was right before Easter weekend. We had a family dinner planned for the following weekend, but that was the day that I was ready for my life to change, and I said I'm not waiting until after the family dinner. Me and my wife discussed that, um, and I'd used every excuse I had. I feel like, and April the 17th, it changed, and that's my long kind of sort of story into finding carnivore and starting carnivore.
Yeah. So along the way, you have lost a lot of weight and you fixed a lot of health issues. You talked about
Mm-hmm.
the diabetes, you talked about the depression. Can you tell us a little bit about how you fixed that with the carnivore diet?
Absolutely, yes, and those things are amazing. I have lost 245 pounds as of today. Well, I haven't weighed myself in a couple of days. So what is today? The 24th of June, right? Make sure
Yeah.
my days are right. So as of the 24th of June, 2023, I have lost 245 pounds as of the last time that I weighed from April the 17th of 2022.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, but living through it and experiencing it's been kind of amazing. Um, and I reversed type 2 diabetes, the non alcoholic fatty liver disease, the sleep apnea. I don't quit breathing when I sleep anymore. I'm off blood pressure medication. All these things, man. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's truly amazing, and I'm so thankful to God and to Dr. Barry and to all the people. Kelly Hogan and Sean Baker. We could list the names. Anthony Chafee, for example. Those Brian Nowowski. Did I say it right?
Nowicki.
Nowicki. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm sorry, Nowicki. Brian Nowicki, doing what you do, man. I mean, we all have our part, and so I'm so thankful that people like you, like Dr. Barry, like all these people are doing that because that's how I found it. Once I found Dr. Barry video, I made my way into a community because Dr. Barry always makes a big deal out of community. And so I started looking for a community and I made my way into Carnivore Quest community on Facebook. And that's where the rubber really hit the road because there was, I don't know, 200 or 300 people when I joined it. And it's probably close to 5,000 now. And it really helped. But they would do these challenges every single month in that group. And so I started in April, and I think it was June. June was the first challenge that I was going to take part in, and it was the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge for 30 days. And so from April until June the 1st, I had eaten 3 times a day, any meat, just like Dr. Barry said, just eat meat. And that's what I did. Eat till you're full 3 times a day. I didn't limit. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. Um, and then on June 1st, I started beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and that's still what I eat to this day. Um, I had no earthly idea that I'd be able to stick with it because I didn't even care a whole lot about steak at the time, and I used to never eat steak. If I had beef, it was like everybody else in the world. It was on, between two pieces of bread and some lettuce and tomato and, a burger.
Yeah.
So I didn't think I'd be able to do just the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, but it's something about everything in my taste buds changed somewhere along the way. And like, that's all I desire now. So that I feel like being so strict with it has helped a lot of the speed of how it happened, I imagine, because it's not a dial that I get to control. I focus on the diet because, or the way of eating. I don't even like calling it a diet. I focus on the way of eating because that's what I can control. The speed of how it happens with the healing and the eating, or the weight loss, I should say, I can't control that other than focus on what I'm eating, make sure I'm putting the right stuff in and not putting the wrong stuff in that's going to hinder it. So that's kind of why I feel what I felt led to it and what it kind of looks like.
Yeah. So can I put you on the spot a little bit here?
Yeah.
Um, so you had type 2 diabetes. What was your A1C back then and what has it improved to now?
I need to look at that because I always say around 7. It was around 7, but I did write it down for just this question. And let's see here. Where was that? Let's. So my A1C was 6.8, and where's the, yeah, 6.8, and now it's 5.2 as of
Wow.
let's see. I had my last labs drawn in April, I think, or no, May, around the time I did the interview with Dr. Barry on my channel, about the 15th, the second week of May in there sometime.
Okay.
Um, I had my labs done this past time, so it's dropped from 6.8 to 5.2 in a little over. Well, I take that back because I had my labs drawn 3 times right before I started, and then I had them drawn in September of 2022, which would have been, what, 6 months after I
Hmm.
started, and then I had them in May. So by 4 months in, my A1C had already dropped to 5.3 from
Wow.
6.8. And then from then to now, it's only dropped from 5.3 to 5.2. But my A1C has never been below like 5.8 or 5.8, 5.9 in the last 25 years. So I'll take 5.3, 5.2, 5.1, whatever it wants to give me
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah. I mean,
And
those are really good numbers too.
yeah, man.
Especially somebody that was 6.8, type 2
Hmm.
diabetic. There's doctors out there that say you can't reverse diabetes. Well, that's proof that you can
Oh,
right there.
absolutely. And my C peptide, for anybody wondering, it was 2.5 when I had it checked. So I'm not sure exactly what the ranges are on it because I didn't write it down, but I know
Mm.
from talking with Dr. Barry and some of the others that they said that's great.
Yeah. So really, within 4 months, your A1C was really good. You talked about high blood pressure. How long did it take for your high blood pressure to go down?
The blood pressure's really been the thing that it's come down, but I was on 3 blood pressure medications. I was on Lisinopril, HCTZ, and amlodipine. And so the first thing that I came off of, and I definitely want to make mention of it, which I forget a lot of times to do, HCTZ has a side effect for most men that they don't even realize. HC hydrochlorothiazide it has a side effect to raise your blood sugar and lower your testosterone, which are
Mhm.
also two issues that I was suffering with: a high blood sugar, and my testosterone was low, like really low, like in around 100. And so whenever I found that out and started researching the issues, I went to my doctor and I said, listen, I've started doing this, carnivore diet. This is how I'm going to eat. And one of the things that I found out is those side effects that I just mentioned about HCTZ. And I'm just want to get your input because I'm not taking it anymore. I'm done taking it. But at the same time, I know that that's my diuretic pill that gets the fluid out. And I don't want to jeopardize having a heart attack because I've got too much of a fluid overload. But at the same time, I also know that carnivore is getting that inflammation and all out. So
Yeah.
nevertheless, he's like, well, we can try it. So we came off the HCTZ. My blood pressure lowered, and I even after coming off that medication to the point, like I think I wrote it down and I lost it, but it's like a 106/72 is about where it's at on the 2 pills that I still take. And he's even said, if you get any of the symptoms, go ahead and come off of it. And then, I mean, we're a year and 2 months later. So, I mean, I do get lightheaded when I stand up from a crouching position. All the signs of me needing to not take it are here. And there's some times where I'll go a week or two and just forget to take it. So
Mm.
I need to just lay it down. I think it's more of a habit because I got in the routine for so long of just going in there and grabbing them. Um,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's took right at a year for it to get to the point to where I feel comfortable coming off of it, and my blood pressure just keeps going lower and lower. And I feel like if I don't come off the medication at this point, it's just going to keep dropping till it's really too low, and then I'm going to have a whole nother set of problems. So it's
Hmm.
time.
Yeah. And that's really interesting because I've heard that from other people that the blood pressure does take longer
Mm-hmm.
to normalize. And I've even experienced that myself. Lisinopril, I take Lisinopril,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm at the point now. I'm pretty much about a year, and I'm probably at a point that I should probably go off it. But I'm kind of in the same situation. Like I'll check my
Yeah.
pressure. Maybe it's, I don't know, 110 over 70 or something like that. And I'm like, well, that's a good number. It's not too
Mm-hmm.
low. Do I really want to go off it yet and it go up? So I'm kind of in that same situation where I don't know that I really want to go off it yet. But I know like 6 months ago, my pressure wasn't that good. So it definitely does take a while for some reason. And, perfect example for you here that it's taken longer too.
Well, how long have you taken the Lisinopril?
Um, Lisinopril, I think I've been on for, well, there's kind of a story involved in that. And I stopped taking it late 2017 because I lost a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not a very sustainable way of losing weight. It was basically low fat and low carb,
Oh
which
wow,
is a disaster because you're constantly
protein.
hungry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I did lose a lot of weight though. And I came off my medication for a little while. And probably 6 months or so later, I gained the weight back and I had to go back on the medication. So outside of that period, I've probably been on lisinopril for close to 10 years, but I've been on blood pressure medication over 20 years.
Oh wow.
And I used to take, I think it was called Zesturic, but I got to a point at some point down the road where it just wasn't effective anymore. And they say sometimes that happens. You have to go to a different medication. So that's when I went to lisinopril.
Yeah, man,
So
and that's the thing. You can know the right thing, and that's a good point to emphasize on, man, because we can know the right things and see the results and know what we want to do, but at the same time still be timid. So, you
yeah.
got to in your case got to find that sustainable with that other diet. There's plenty of ways to lose weight. That's what's critical, and that's what I try to relate so much to the people on the channel is you know, you can lose weight by starving yourself, just not eating. You can lose weight by, there's so many different ways. You can go have a surgery and have it cut out. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to lose weight. The way that you do it with carnivore, because carnivore is not even a weight loss diet, it's a health
Hmm.
optimization way of eating. And that's exactly what it does. And it does it in a way that is healthy because it's using your body is taking care of itself because you're giving it the nutrients it needs to do that with. And so, it takes more time, and I'm perfectly good with my blood pressure taking more time. I would have been perfectly fine with my weight taking more time, to be honest with you. I honestly never focused on my weight, and that could have not being stressed about my weight may also have been a key factor in why it did what it did because I just didn't think about it. Yes, I wanted
Hmm.
it to happen, but that wasn't my focus. My focus was, man, listen, I'm not in that debilitating depression anymore. Like I can get up off the couch and do life again. And that for me was way bigger than even the weight loss or any of the other issues. um, that depression, man, is such a real thing that so many people just have an idea about, but if you've never had it, you just don't understand it
Yeah.
because it's you know what you need to do and you have a desire to do that. It's almost like a disconnect between your brain and your limbs and your feet. Like I'm telling, all right, I need to get up and go cut the grass, but I can't make my legs move to get up. It's weird. It's not that, but it feels like that. And
Hmm.
so the benefits of it are amazing. and and it's so sustainable for each and every, each one of us as humans, because it's the proper human diet. It's a safe way to give your body what it needs to function properly and restore that homeostasis process that it's amazing at doing.
Yeah, and that's a key point that you said when you said it's not really a diet. It's a lifestyle, it's a way of
Mm-hmm.
eating and so forth, right? Um, because when you look at diets and like what I did back in 2017 when I lost weight, it's really all about counting your calories, not eating as much, and then that's how you lose weight, right? But with carnivore, you don't have to count calories. It's about eating the right foods, making sure that you get full, and then not eating again until you're really hungry. And once you've cut out the processed food and the sugars, your brain starts to really know when you're hungry again instead of constantly having those sugar cravings. So
Mm-hmm.
it works great. And like you said, it is the proper human diet. So it's the way that we should be eating. So yeah. Now I want to go back a little bit when you were talking about the blood pressure thing and you were talking about your
Mm-hmm.
doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that can always be a very interesting conversation. So take us back to that. You went to the doctor. You said, I've started the carnivore diet. What was his reaction?
Man, you trying to get me fired up, dude, is what you trying to do. No, so I have an amazing doctor here close to the house. Excuse me, sorry. That carbonated water, bro. Um yeah, my doctor is amazing. He I've used him for about 6 or 7 years, but me and my doctor have an understanding too. I told you I worked EMS. I'm not trying to act like a know-it-all, because there's tons and tons and tons I don't know. But I do generally know how the body works, and I know, a little bit enough about it that I know that I have to educate myself on my own health. It's my responsibility, and I can't leave my health and the responsibility that belongs to me up to anybody else, including the doctor. So, that being said, me and my doctor have an understanding. Like, I tell my doctor what I want to do and how I want to function and where I want to be. And his job is to help me get there, because it's my decision. And when that doesn't happen or whatever, he doesn't, I'm not saying he has to agree with me. He's the doctor, and I ask his opinion and I value it. However, on certain issues, if I don't want to do it, I'm just not going to do it. Period. You know, and
Mm,
I guess he could fire me or I could fire him. But so, like with the whole statin issue that a lot of people bring up, my cholesterol did go up, but my triglycerides cut in half. So
yeah.
everything's amazing. Even this last time is whenever that the whole statin thing was mentioned, and he's like, "I'm not even going to mention statins to you," and because he knows. I told him, throughout this journey, I said, "Listen, I know my cholesterol is going to go up probably. My triglycerides was started at like 160, and now they're 93. So um, close enough to half for me." uh, my cholesterol went from 174 to 239. So, it's not crazy or anything, but, he's like, I'm not even going to say anything about statins, because everything else, I mean, your thyroid is zeroed out, it's in the normal. Your blood pressures work, your weight loss, everything, A1C, everything is normalizing. And I just know better. He's like, I'm not taking the statin, so don't even come at me with that junk. But I mean, that's what a lot of people have to understand too, is when it's his job to make money, and that's what keeps the funds rolling into his pocket. A lot. I'm not saying my doctor, but there's a lot of doctors who want to keep that income coming in, and they have somebody above them telling them and prescribing them what they get to say and do when it comes to certain situations, and they're just not truthful about a lot of things that they should know about. For someone who has type 2 diabetes, for someone to suggest that they eat fruits and vegetables, it should be malpractice. It should be. And, because you're literally telling them and suggesting to people to eat the very thing that's leading their issue to be worse or to remain the same. It's not healing it. Knowing that you can heal that with the ketogenic way of eating should be the prescription. Hey, look, you don't have to do it, but this is what the only thing out there that works to reverse type 2 diabetes. I have said it before and I will continue to say it. I'll say it again. If there is a vegan out there that has a video and the scientific evidence and the examples to line up and show me where veganism can reverse type 2 diabetes, can starve cancer out, can help you lose weight, help all your vitals to correct themselves, can get you off medications, I will be more than happy to listen to, to the evidence that's there. It's just not out there. It's not happening.
Yeah.
Even when you have the best of intentions, I'm not against vegans. I've got a bunch of friends that are vegans. I love them. It's just not the case eating any old kind of way. And, so I don't know, man, I get fired up and get sent off, but my doctor 100%, he was on board with it. Once I had lost 100 pounds in 4 months, the first time I went and got those labs run again, and he was shocked and amazed. So I actually went and got a picture of the last time I went and had my vitals done. I was like, "Hey, doc," and I had the nurse come in there and take a picture of us because I wanted to get a picture of his face. it was that shock.
Yeah. So there are two really good takeaways there. Number one, you have a great doctor that is willing to work with you and let you say, this is what I want to do, what I want to get to, and then he can advise you medically, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
second big takeaway is that you're not just another rat in this rat race that's just doing what they're being told to do. You're educating yourself and putting, your health is on you, right? And you're
Mm-hmm.
making sure that you are doing the research and you are doing what you feel is right for you. And that's great. That's what more and more people need to do. And there's too many people that are not doing that. And they're just listening to what everybody is telling you out there. And the interesting thing about listening to what everybody tells you is over time, that changes. And it's like, oh no, we got that wrong. It's really this. And then over time, well, you know what? That's actually wrong too. It's this. So educate yourself and, do what you feel is the right thing to do, not necessarily what other people are telling you to do.
Well, and it's 100% that, and it's not just about nutrition because I'm under the firm belief that um, because I fixed my health and because I fixed the nutrition issue in my life and it's been working to get me healthy and help me to lose weight and all these different things, that puts me back at baseline as a human being. What I do from that point is yet to be seen. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do because, I feel like there's so many things. It's not just nutrition and health that we've been lied to and just accepted whatever we've been told for all these years. People, I think it's a tool that can be used to get us to where we need to be at baseline. But there's so many issues that we have been spoon fed by so many people and people of authority or what you will fill in the blank that we've just blindly accepted and hope for the best. We can't live that way, and that's where the intentional part, of my name partly comes from. Is you need to be intentional about life. Freedom doesn't just happen. Somebody fought and died for that. Your health doesn't just happen. You need to educate yourself, make good choices, and gain that. There's a lot of things that we've been afforded in life that we take for granted because we just accept status quo and won't step up and grab a hold of and think for ourselves and educate ourselves and grow and learn on. If you just accept whatever anybody else feeds you, then you're a slave to your own desires or somebody else's.
Yeah.